Hey guys, what is going on? It is Cabo. So I've been playing a lot of Lost Ark recently. I got the early access and I've been playing a fuck ton. And I have really been enjoying the game so far. So I wanted to just give like a first look, how I feel about the game, how I feel it's gonna go, my initial thoughts on the overall leveling, progression, PvP, PvE, just all that fun stuff. It's just gonna be a short video, hopefully. So first off, I wanted to talk about the classes. Currently there are 5 classes in the game and each class has a subclass of some sort. I think they did a really good job with the classes. They have all the main archetypes, the warrior being the more in-your-face tanky DPS class, the martial artist being more of like a brawler class, the gunner being a marksman DPS, the mage being a caster DPS, and the assassin being a more bursty DPS. A lot of people will complain initially that there aren't a lot of classes, but I think that the subclasses really even it out. Every class is unique in its own way and the subclasses further extend that. I back this up with the fact that Deathblade opposed to Shadowhunter are very different. They have different play styles, but they have the same concept where they like to burst really quick, do their damage, and get out. I'm also a believer of quality over quantity, and each class looks amazing. The skills look amazing, they all seem like they're good, they all look pretty balanced. I would say that Sorceress is a little bit overtuned in PvP, but other than that, every other class is quite balanced in my opinion. Now I want to talk more about the overall gameplay, so the story, the leveling, and the progression. So first things first, I want to get everything straight. This game plays a lot like Path of Exile or Diablo 2. It seems like it's the same engine, but with a more refined combat system. The combat actually reminds me a lot of Terra's combat, as well as the gameplay honestly, and the world. They are beautiful worlds, beautiful animations, but I feel like this game just takes the Path of Exile Diablo route, so it's more of like a third-person bird's eye view rather than you following your character like right over top of them. So that's the difference. Overall though, the combat is amazing, very rewarding. I really like it. It takes me back to when I was leveling in Terra back in like 2016. It has been a lot of fun. So now I wanted to talk about the leveling and progression in this game. The leveling is pretty straightforward, it's pretty basic. Go to this guy, pick up a quest, complete it, go to the next town, go get a bunch of quests, complete it there. One thing I like about this game though is that the quests don't seem drawn out. You'll have to like pick up some things, kill a bunch of mobs and all that, but you really don't have to kill that many mobs and you really don't need to pick up that many things for the people. Like it's usually just you pick up one thing, you drop it over there, and then you complete the quest. It's not like World of Warcraft where you have to pick up like 8 things and then that just kills your progression. For example, the clip I'm showing you guys right now, I literally had to pick up like one piece of brick, put it over on the circle, talk to 2 people, and then I'm out of this area. So in terms of leveling and progression, I think the game is pretty good. You're never really stagnant, you're not in the same area for too long, you're always adventuring, exploring new parts of the map, and I think that the combat system is really rewarding, so killing all the mobs that you have to is still fun. You're never really going to get bored on your first playthrough. So now I just wanted to talk about the story, go into PvE, so like instances, dungeons, and then talk about PvP, and then we'll be done this first look / review of the game. Okay, so I'm just going to touch on the story pretty briefly since I haven't completed it yet, and I'm a believer that I shouldn't be able to critique a story unless I fully complete it. But I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I actually like the story quite a bit. I've been reading the dialogue, I've been watching the cutscenes, and I don't usually do that for MMOs. Like I usually cut all that shit out and level as fast as I can. Like I've leveled characters to max on Black Desert Online, Blade and Soul, and Terra, and I can tell you jack shit about the story of those games. But this story goes crazy, man. On top of that, like you're a legit hero in this story. You go to thank people and say goodbye when you're done with the area, and then people go up to you and thank you for saving them. It's really cool, honestly. And you go into like some large scale battles. Like there's a scene where you are in a complete war and you're just a one-man army, and I think it's so cool. All the characters aren't that unique, and you kind of have to get over the shitty voice acting because you have to put in the back of your head that this is a Korean game and they just probably tried to do the English voice acting as fast as they could. But for an MMO, I think that the story is pretty good. Okay, so let's talk PvE. So early instances and dungeons, because again, I haven't gotten to max level, so I can't tell you about endgame PvE. So the biggest thing with PvE in this game, as of now at least, is that you don't need certain classes to run dungeons. So unlike World of Warcraft or other certain MMOs, you don't need a healer or a tank to run a dungeon. It is nice to have a tankier class as well as a support class like Paladin or Bard so that it makes it a little bit easier, but at the end of the day, you don't really need them, at least for early game PvE. I don't really know how I feel about this because there's a part of me that likes that World of Warcraft archetype that you need your tank, your priest, your DPS so that you can run a dungeon and it feels like you are needed for your role. But at the same time, this makes matchmaking for instances so much quicker. Like if you look for a group for a dungeon, you only need to wait like 10 to 20 seconds and you'll find a group. Now, the dungeons themselves aren't really that exciting. It's quite linear in fact. Maybe they get better as you level, as you progress. Maybe the endgame dungeons, I assume, will be a lot more large scale, will be a lot more fun. But as of right now, I found that the dungeons, you literally queue up, get into a group, you follow the map, and it's very linear. You just go from point A to point B, kill the boss. The boss is pretty easy. You just have to dodge a few of his abilities, and that's it. You're done the dungeon. And I will say this again, I am still not max level, so I don't know how max level dungeons work. I don't know if they're better, so take this with a grain of salt, but they are not that exciting right now, at least I feel like. So last, but definitely not least, is the PvP. This is what got me into the game. This is what got me initially excited. This is why I'm grinding my character so hard. This is why I'm putting in all the hours, and it's all for the PvP. As someone who has a lot of fun with MMO PvP, I played a lot of Blade and Soul PvP, I played a lot of Terra PvP, and I played a lot of World of Warcraft PvP. I have had a lot of fun with PvP in this game. There are only currently 3 modes for PvP. There is a 1v1 deathmatch, which is basically a free-for-all between 6 people. There is a team deathmatch, which is 3v3. Everyone is out at the same time, and you try and get as many kills as you can. And lastly, there is team elimination. And team elimination is basically 2 teams of 3, and one person will 1v1 until the other team has no more players standing. But seriously, I think that the PvP in this game was really well thought out. Every class shines in their own way, and some classes definitely counter other classes. But if you play your class really well and you know the ins and outs of your classes, then every matchup you play, you should be pretty confident as long as you know the cooldowns of your opponent and all that jazz. But for new players, I feel like some matchups between classes are harder than others. This might discourage new players because they'll get absolutely bodied by a class that counters them. But I think that's part of the fun of learning MMO PvP. You have to learn up matchups and how you play against new characters, and the more you play, the more you progress, the more you'll get better. Overall, it's super refreshing playing an MMO this good because I haven't played an MMO this good in so long. It really feels like the developers took their time with this. They saw what MMOs failed at and what they succeeded at, and they grew upon that. There are so many times I'm playing and I'll be like, oh, I'm really glad that they inputted this, or I'm really glad they made this like that, and it's just been an overall really fun experience. Now, as long as the game keeps putting in new content, as long as they keep listening to the players, as long as they keep balancing PvP, I think the game will have a lot of longevity. I could see myself playing this game for many years to come, but I could also see the developers doing some random bullshit that makes no one want to play anymore. Let's just hope this doesn't happen. But I tried to keep it short and sweet. I went on a little bit of rambling here and there, but that was my first look / review on Lost Ark. This is my first time doing this kind of video. If you guys want reviews or some shit like that in the future, tell me if you like this video because I honestly enjoyed making this video. So please tell me in the comments if you liked it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.